Okay, it's Tuesday and it's math today. Now remember, this week we're talking about size, and yesterday we talked about the biggest thing you could think of and the smallest thing you could think of, and you did some really good things. A minnow in a house, that's what Olivia did. That was really cool. A minnow's a teeny tiny fish, and a house is a pretty big thing, but there's things that are bigger and things that are smaller. So I can't wait to see what the rest of you did. Today we're going to read a book by one of my favorite authors. His name is Steve Jenkins, and this book is called Actual Size. So the things that he's drawn in here are the actual size of the things in real life. And this is a hand, but this is my hand. So is this the hand of a person, do you think? Do you think there's a person that has a hand that's that much bigger than my hand? I don't think so. So we'll have to see what that hand is of. All right, actual size. Look what's on the back. That is the actual size of a certain kind of spider. Ooh, yikes. If you're scared of spiders, you're certainly going to be scared of that one. Did you ever look at a giant squid in the eye? Have you ever shaken hands with a gorilla or been face to face with a tiger? All of the animals in this book are shown at actual size, so you can see how you measure up to creatures both large and small. One of the things we're talking about is comparative sizes, sizes that we compare against other sizes. We talked about that a little bit in the book that we read called Size yesterday. And we're going to talk about it today because these things are the size. For instance, this is an Atlas moth. And sometimes people see it and think it's a bird. Look at it. That's the actual size. Now, that actual size, that bird is about the same. I mean, it's not a bird. That moth, Atlas moth, is about the same size as my head. Can you imagine seeing that? We'll have to look up, and I'll send you a video on the Atlas moth because I don't know where that lives. But I know that I've never seen one for reals. Certainly not that big. I would like to, though. I'll send you a video. A dwarf goby is the smallest of all fish. So yesterday, Olivia drew a minnow. We thought that was a small fish. A dwarf goby, it's on this page too. I didn't even see it because it's so tiny compared. Remember, comparative measurements. We're comparing things to each other. Compared to that giant Atlas moth, it is tiny. All right, see if you can find it. Here is the Atlas moth now. See if you can find it. There it is. Look how tiny it is. And remember, that's actual size. That is smaller than the tip of my finger. Tiny. That's a fish. A dwarf goby. Wow. A giant squid lives deep in the ocean where its enormous eye help it to see the dim light. Look at this. And remember, the best way to determine size is to compare it. So let's compare this to my head. I think this would be a scary thing to see. That's about twice the size of my head's. Wow, that's just the eye of a giant squid. Only the eye, nothing else. Holy mackerel. An Alaskan brown bear is the largest meat-eating animal that lives on land. Look at his mouth and look at my head. Could he open his mouth, even if it isn't hinged like a snake, and eat my whole head? He could. I hope he never does. But look at, you can't even see his whole head because it's so, his whole head is as big as the top part of my body. Look at this, bigger. Holy cow. That's just his head. That's scary. Here's the largest bird, an ostrich, with its egg. So you can see, they can't fit the whole bird on there because look how big it is. Holy cow, that's just its neck. Look at that. My face is as tall as its neck. See, his head is bigger than mine. And look at, my head is almost the same size as the egg. See that? As an ostrich egg. That's pretty big, isn't it? Pretty big. A 2-foot-long tongue. This must be a giant anteater snacking on its favorite food, termites. And you can see compared to my hands how long this tongue is. Longer than my arm, I think. Maybe as long as my arm. Just its tongue. My tongue's long, but it's nothing like as long as an anteater's tongue. Wow. And my tongue isn't sticky particularly. Here's the spider. It's called a Goliath. Goliath means huge. Goliath bird eater tarantula. Well, I guess if it's that big, it can easily eat a bird. It's big enough to catch and eat birds and small mammals. Look how big he is. He's bigger than my hand. I couldn't hold him. I'd need 2 hands to hold him, wouldn't I? And even then, I think I'd be scared and I'd drop him or throw him by accident. Oh, this one, it's a fold out because it's too big. I've got to fold the page out like this. We worked on some books when we were in school that you folded the page out because they were too long. The saltwater crocodile is the world's largest reptile. It's a man eater. And can you see how big his, I can't even show it to you all on the screen because it's so big. That's a saltwater crocodile. Now, they have a lot of saltwater crocodiles in Australia where I live. They have two kinds of crocodiles. One's called the saltwater or a salty. They call them salties. And one's a freshwater crocodile or a freshie. Freshies are harmless. I used to swim with them all the time. They eat things like snakes and turtles, but they don't bother people. Or if they did, I didn't know that and swam with them all the time. But a salty, you don't swim anywhere near a salty, or you don't even walk near the banks of a place where salties live. Because if you do, they will eat you. You'll be gone. There's nothing you can do. They grow. Think about how long that salty must be if that's the size of his head. Pretty long. We don't have crocodiles in the United States. We have a cousin of theirs called alligators, which are also dangerous. But saltwater is much more dangerous because they're bigger and much more aggressive. The Goliath, there's that word again, Goliath. It means huge. The Goliath frog lives in Africa. It's big enough to catch and eat birds and rats. It's 3 feet long. Look at him. Oh my goodness. I actually really love frogs and I would not mind seeing that frog. I don't think it's big enough to be a man-eater like the salty, but I don't know how aggressive it is either. But frogs don't strike me as aggressive. All right. This animal, the only thing they can show you because it's so big is the teeth. I'm going to show you the teeth and I'm going to cover up the word and you tell me what you think these are the teeth of. I bet you know. Look at how the teeth are jagged or serrated. They're called serrated because they're good for sawing and cutting too. Oh, that is a very dangerous animal. I'll read to you what it is, but I bet you've already guessed. This is too close to a great white, you know the answer, shark. All we can fit in there because it's so big is its teeth. Because remember, this book is called Actual Size. The huge gorilla and the pygmy mouse lemur both have hands a lot like ours. Now they're showing you actual size. Remember, that's from the front of the book. And the gorilla's hands are much bigger than mine. But the pygmy lemur's hands are smaller than the tip of my finger, aren't they? My whole finger can cover up his hands. But yes, see how they have the thumbs like we do? Most animals don't have hands that look like that with the thumbs. But those are two animals that do have those thumbs like that. The Siberian tiger is the biggest of the big cats. Can you see it? Siberian tiger. Unfortunately, there aren't many Siberian tigers left because so much of their habitat has been destroyed by people. Oh, here's this word again. The Goliath beetle is the world's heaviest insect. Would you like to see that? I would like to see that giant Goliath beetle. And the rare giant walking stick is the world's longest insect. So this one is heaviest. It weighs the most, but this one is the longest. Remember, longest is when we measure from one end to the other end. And it can be 22 inches. That's almost 2 feet long. I want to see that. I do want to see that. This animal, all we can see is its foot. I bet I don't even have to tell you what it is. I bet you can guess. This foot belongs to the largest land animal. Not the ocean, but land. What do you think it is? I heard some of you say it. It's the African elephant. It can be up to 13 feet high and up to 14,000 pounds. That's massive. Absolutely massive. Okay, wow. Isn't this a wonderful book? Actual Size by Steve Jenkins. I really like to know how big things are. And I don't get to see all those things in my normal life. Here's your job. You have to research a snake, any snake you want. And then you have to make an actual size snake. Connor's told me he wants to do a really long one. So I'm going to find some really long paper. Or if I can't find long paper, I think I have some though. But it might be pink. But that's okay. We'll use the pink paper and we'll paint it. So I think what we'll do is, if I can't find long paper, I'll tape shorter paper together to get it to be long. But you don't have to choose something that's long. You just have to do the actual size. So you're going to have to do a little research, decide what kind of snake you want to do, and then find out how long it is and measure that out and then cut it out and cut it into a shape of a snake and then paint it or color it or somehow decorate it so it looks like the snake that you want it to look like. I cannot wait to see your actual size snakes. Once you have your actual size snake done, what I'd like you to do is take a picture of it, but I'd like you to take a picture of it with you in the picture so we can compare it to you. And maybe it's only this big. I don't know if there's any snakes that big. I have no idea. You'll have to research that and find out. Or maybe it's this big, or maybe it's this big, or maybe it's this big, or maybe it's way bigger than you. I don't know, but I want you to lay it out next to you. I want you to lay down next to it, and I want you to have somebody take that picture so we can see, compared to you, how big is the actual size snake that you've made. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to see your mouth today. I love you.